new setup. See how I like the sound of it. How's this looking to you guys? Just checking out the quality of this. Hopefully it looks good. Oh, looks great. Fantastic. Okay, how does the quality sound? I think it sounds good on my ends. We'll see. Good, glad to hear it. Yeah, I have a whole different setup here. I have two cameras, trying out some new things, and we'll see how I like them ultimately. But it's kind of a fun way to do this, top-down cameras and all of that. So I'm looking forward to changing up how I do things a little bit. But yeah. Cool. Do you like having the top down and front view? I kind of like the look of this. I'm pretty pleased with it. So I wanted to say too, to whoever watches this now or in the future, I'm going to be releasing song packs that are going to have basically 5 songs, sort of easy, intermediate, and difficult songs. And they're going to be course packs. So instead of choosing, I'm going to learn to play the rev, or I'm going to learn to play the handpan, you can choose to learn through choosing a 5-song pack. And I'm going to be releasing sort of LPs, shorter albums based off of those. And I think that's going to be my solution for how I want to provide online instruction without, being a copycat for all the other things that are available. And even though I was one of the first people to do online instruction in the first place. But I think that would be a great idea. It would give people a reason to play if they learn some material, and just be fun for me too. So if you have any scale requests as I test this out, just let me know. You want to hear a particular instrument, I'm happy to play it. But I'll play you guys a little something. If you hear anything that sounds funky, just let me know, and I will try to fix that. Does my talking voice sound loud enough as well too? This will be on one of those song packs. I'm very pleased with this setup. I have to remember not to look at the screen and look here because I have my camera in a different position than normal. The other option I thought too is moving this up higher, so I'm looking down more on myself. So I'm gonna experiment with where this front camera goes. Is the audio still sounding pretty good? Everything sound clean? I'm gonna pick up a Rav and see how that sounds. Swap cameras here. How's the audio for that? Pretty good? Let me check back here. It does look pretty good, I have to say. Okay, so little lesson for you guys, since I promised that in the chat. Are there any techniques you're interested in learning for those of you that are joining me right now? I'm happy to show you guys something if you're interested in a particular technique. Something I will show you if you want to see is this roll. Love the shoulder on this instrument. I keep selling all of the instruments that I like that are D chords, but... And one of the things I like about this sort of a roll is that I'm doing 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 1. And you can do it a bunch of different ways, but I'm basically doing a thumb strike. I'm doing a middle finger strike, flicking off with my pointer finger, and then flicking down with my right. So I'm doing right, left middle, right pointer, right pointer. Right thumb, left middle, left pointer, right pointer. And if you have an instrument that has a beautiful shoulder like this one, then it sounds really cool if you land on that back end. Depending on where you bring your double strike, this strike, you can kind of get different effects. So if I wanted to have it be a little more twangy, I would do something like this. If I wanted to be something a little bit more percussive, I might want to bring it to the center a little bit more. And that's going to give you a nice clear strike there. You can also change where your pointer finger is striking after that. So if you wanted a shoulder strike, that's one way of doing it. The other way is if you were to take and actually go and avoid the ding and only do around the ding. It's going to give you a whole different sound. This by itself I don't think is very interesting, but when you use it in conjunction with something else, it becomes a little more intriguing. So if I was playing my song Soul-Faction, which sounds like... left pointer, right pointer, strike on the side. And I'm doing flick off with this finger saves you a ton of energy. And if you're used to doing rolls where you're doing this, that's okay, that works. It's kind of the Nadashana style. And you combine them together to get that. But you can use half the energy by just doing a roll like this. And I'm just going back and forth with this finger, and every time this right hand strikes a note, my left hand is doing a roll. So I'm doing thumb, middle, pointer, pointer, middle, pointer, thumb, middle, pointer, pointer, middle. And you're speeding up and adding it together. Again, I like to use this not as a look at me making a train crossing sound, but using it in context. So if I want to make it more interesting, I could do something like... So I think really the trick for playing these sorts of things is to not let your... Interesting, why is there a reflection right there? Not let the techniques drive what you're playing, and instead try to use them in a way that makes your playing interesting. And a lot of times people get stuck in their playing with ghost notes or with dyads or triads. It's pretty much that they're only focusing on that one aspect of playing, and the rest of it becomes not as important. And you really have to develop all pieces at once to be a holistic sort of player. So what questions do you guys have? We have 12 people in here right now, and I would love to answer any questions that you have about scales or about playing. This instrument is also for sale if anyone's interested in this beautiful D Kurd. It's a 9-note, it's a star pen. I also currently have a B Celtic double ding for sale as well. So if you're interested in a RAV, that could be a good opportunity to own a RAV. Maybe I'll play you guys something on this Nino Domano as some questions come in. So this is the lovely Sonido da Mano. And this instrument I really like a lot. It's probably one of my favorite handpans that I have aside from my other Sonido da Mano. It's very, very colorful, as you can see. There's a magical transformation. And I love his color scheme on here. This is a 17-note instrument. And he did a fantastic job of making this super clean. Very beautiful. So, let me play you guys something on this. thank you, Interexistence. I have to remember to text you my number so we can figure out a time to hang out in the coming weeks. So the Haluro 14-inch tongue pans are not actually that bad. The funny thing about the handpan world now is that everybody now that's become a popular player or a teacher, we all started on the worst instruments. Very few of us had, the Hong. I love the Hong. There's debate about whether people like the sound of them or not. But most people that started did not start with the Hong. And many of us that have them got them later in life. And we started on really cheap Orbi pans or DB hand pans. Some Bali steel are okay, but Bali steel pans. So you can really get a beginning using any instrument. And this is kind of the annoyance of the current handpan world. Yes, there are cheap instruments in the world that are just flooding the market, and it is frustrating for my friends that are makers. So I guess the solution is either adapt to that change and say, we're going to provide an instrument that's very different than what's available, or you decide that you're going to fight against it and do everything you can, but it's really a losing battle. Because if people don't have money to buy a $2,000 instrument, they're not going to buy it. And we're not in really an economic time where people can just drop $2,000 if this isn't their thing. Even for me, when I first started playing guitar, I had a Fender Squier as my first electric guitar. It's an okay guitar. It's not the best. It had fine intonation, and I learned on that, and that was it. And I think we can think about some of the cheaper instruments in that way. And I know I'm in a weird position because I'm not worried as much because I'm a teacher. So the more people that have instruments, the more students I have potentially. So it affects me in a different way than my handpan maker friends. So I see both sides of the coin. So I can relate to the frustration of my handpan maker friends, but I think there is a way for all of them to exist in parallel. It's kind of the same issue that happened with Etsy. And I used to sell flutes, handmade instruments on Etsy. And I stopped eventually because Etsy just became a place for reselling Chinese instruments. Chinese, harps, or flutes, or things that are just mass produced. It doesn't have to do with China in particular, but when it stopped being sort of a craftsman marketplace, it became less useful for me to actually sell my stuff on there, because why would someone buy a $150 flute made out of Japanese knotweed or bamboo or wood when they could get a $50 flute that's tuned the same way? And I get it. I get it as someone that doesn't like to spend money on things. So I think we as players and we as makers need to find a way to interest the market in that particular instrument, because it's not enough anymore just to make a handpan. And I wish it were that way. People used to be able to fund their whole handpan journey through their prototypes. And now if you were to sell a prototype and it wasn't up to standards, people would rip you apart. And I know most of the makers sold their really early prototypes. So, hey, thanks, Mr. Firas. How are you? I like this setup. I don't know if I'm going to end up using this exact background, but I kind of like the way it looks. I have a little overhead too. Figure this will be easier to teach and talk in as well. So we have to catch up this week, my friend. I had some interesting ideas for this summer. Well, this fall, I guess now. But hope you're doing well. Firas, who's in here, edited, mixed, and mastered the last album, Wild Spaces, and did an amazing job. So highly recommend his work if you're looking for someone to mix and master material. Amazing job. You wouldn't know that I spent many a day lugging stuff outside. He captured sort of the natural sounds of the space, but also was able to make it professional sounding as well. So A+ for his work. I was showing them first before you came in. This is a C Aegean from Senito de Mano. And And this one has an interesting thing with it. The the top note. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad. It's I love the album too. I listen to the album all the time, so I guess that's a good indication. um, so sometimes on handpans you'll find instruments that have impedance issues. And this particular handpan has an impedance issue on the 8. I fixed this by adding a little bit of material on the inside. I just taped a little wad of cloth, and all it did was change the volume of air in the instrument, and that fixed the note. So you can kind of mess around with your handpans and say, like, how does it sound if I put a sock inside of it? It sounds ridiculous, but it does make a big difference. And I modify my instruments all the time using this. So, oops, my phone is buzzing here. But highly recommend you explore that and you try to mess around with the inside of your instrument. I also use magnets and leather around notes in order to isolate a note as well. So, I mean, there's tons of different things you can do to work on an instrument, but don't be afraid to add a rim to it. You know, add a rim or add something inside of it. Just as long as you're not hammering it, you're not going to alter the tuning. There's some instruments too that I have knocked out of tune that I don't really want to send back to the maker. And you can retune them with a small neodymium magnets. It means understanding how handpans work and how they're tuned. But if it went higher than what it was before, you can bring it down very easily with a magnet. So there's all sorts of fun stuff you can do. But thank you guys for hanging out. I'm going to be doing more streams like this now that I have the setup kind of ready to go. And look for the album recordings that will have 5 songs taught to you. It'll be a video course of all 5 songs with 5, maybe 5 or 6 different levels on each, going through the tab of the song, how to play them, techniques, and all of that. So looking forward to doing more of this for you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of the day, and be in touch, Interexistence and Mr. Furious, and I'll see you guys next time. Talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out.